Hey guys, welcome to your first lecture for economics. I hope you're as excited as I am. I'm guessing probably not, but thanks for pressing play anyway. Now you know how I spent some of my summer. For the learning target here for number one, it says I can define scarcity and explain why it is the fundamental economic problem. Most people, if you ask them to describe economics in one word, would be scarcity. Well, some of you guys might say boring, but hopefully not yet. So, scarcity is the study of limited resources and unlimited wants. So, we're going to take a look at that today. Economics is a study of how people make choices to satisfy their wants. So, obviously, we don't have enough time to do everything. We would love to be out with our friends tonight, but instead, I assigned some homework, and here you're pressing play instead. And hopefully, you'll be talking to your friends, or maybe you're texting them as we are speaking, as I'm speaking right now. But you do have to make some choices. Can't do everything that you want. Here, I like taking some quotes from some people, and this one it says, first is about observing the world with genuine curiosity and admitting that it's full of mysteries. Second is about trying to solve those mysteries in ways that are consistent with the general proposition that human behavior is usually designed to serve a purpose. It's probably not what you thought of when you signed up for economics. Economics is a lot more than money in the economy, so I'm here to kind of help you understand that and realize that almost every choice that you make is an economic decision. There are 7 principles that we're going to go over here real quick, so you can decide if you want to write these down or not, but I'm guessing you might want to. The first principle is cost versus benefits. Whenever I go over to Riverdale, I have sort of a problem. There's too many good places to eat. And then they keep popping up with new ones. You got Five Guys and Chick-fil-A. So I gotta think about which place I want to go to. Did I have a burger last night, or did I have chicken? Do I want to have something different today? Maybe I want something healthy. Probably not, because I'm not going to spend money on healthy food. Some of you will. Good for you. But I'll go with the Five Guys most often. You know, you weigh your costs and benefits. Do you have the money for that today? Do you not? Are you on a diet? You know, just some things to think about. And so you have to make those decisions, and you're only going to make one of them. You're not going to eat Chick-fil-A and Five Guys. So you're just weighing your costs and your benefits and making the best choice for you. Number 2, scarcity forces trade-offs. Again, it would have been nice probably if you were out with your friends or doing something on the first or second day of school here, but instead I assigned some homework and you're doing some studying. But, you know, scarcity forces trade-offs. We can't get everything that we want. The classic example is, you know, time that you need to study so you can get some good grades, or spend some time with friends, which is just as important as well. So there's lots of trade-offs that we face in life. Thinking at the margin, we look at marginal benefit versus marginal cost, and we find out where they're equal to get the best satisfaction. And so maybe your cost is going on to graduate school after ANOCA, and you go on to graduate school because you want to become a business professional. And so once you get that job, that's a benefit for you. Maybe your favorite band is my favorite band, which is Skillet. And they really don't make a bad song. If you haven't listened to them, you really should. But even just on my way to school, when I'm turning up the stereo in my car, that is a economic decision. I have to decide how loud I want to make that. So do I blast it, which sometimes I do with Skillet, or do I want to turn it down so I don't look like the crazy old teacher pulling into the parking lot? So that's my marginal cost. And then the marginal benefit is just enjoying some music and deciding at what level I would like that. Marginal cost, for those that are in sports or really anything that you're doing, how much time are you going to practice something? How many times are you going to do these math problems so you can do a better job on the math team? Or how many times are you going to run killers after football before a big game? You're not going to do too many, or you're going to be exhausted and you won't be able to do well on your game. Otherwise, your coach is trying to figure out how much would make you stronger but wouldn't cost you the game. And hopefully the outcome is the same as on that scoreboard where we're winning all our games and winning our different competitions that you're in. Marginal cost, thinking at the margin, how much time should I study in the library? Obviously, the more time I study, hopefully the better grades I get. This crazy guy, every July 4th, they have a coney dog eating contest. I don't know if you care about that at all, but this guy does apparently. So this is Joey John's Chestnuts, and he apparently has eaten 58 hot dogs, and his benefit is getting that mustard belt, or whatever they call it. I think it's mustard belt. That one looks like it. So anyway, you're just weighing your marginal benefit and your marginal cost. Real quick, you don't have to do all of one thing and none of the other. You could think at the margin. So you might decide that you're going to study for 1 hour before a big exam, and you might realize that it might not be quite enough, but you might pass. You get a C. What do you give up? Well, you might give up an hour of sleep. And second hour of study time, well, now I might do a little bit better, but obviously I give up 2 hours of sleep. And so on for the last part. And so you don't have to think about it as an all or none decision. You could make that decision at the margin, which is looking incrementally from one to the next unit. Number 4 is a very important one. People respond to incentives in predictable ways. So we can kind of predict human behavior. I am a bad person. I use this on my kids all the time. I'm a big fan of psychology, and I'm a big fan of economics. So behavioral economics to me is pretty cool. So we can get people to do things that we want. So this is pretty easy, obviously, with my kids because their incentive is often money. So we give chores out throughout the week, and we can mark them down, and they can see how much money they're getting. We also sometimes will take some quarters away for different things too. So my one son wants his money, so he's working on math facts. And my other son's wondering why the heck I'm taking a picture of him in his messy room. But anyway, he's probably going to clean it here and get that done so he can get his money for his chores, or he won't get that. Incentives, like I said, are really important, and there's actually some cool guys out there, Stephen Levitt and Stephen Dubner, who have done a lot with incentives. And it says incentives are the cornerstone of modern life, and understanding them or often fretting them out is the key to solving just about any riddle, from violent crime to sports cheating to online dating. So they have some crazy chapters in these books. You guys should check it out sometime if you can. There's also a documentary on Netflix, so press play and watch a couple of those episodes. It's pretty cool. They have a blog and a podcast as well. Their latest book came out in 2014, and it's Think Like a Freak. So pretty good. People gain when they trade voluntarily. Not necessarily if they're made to trade or if there's restrictions on trade, but if they trade voluntarily, it can be a win-win situation. There is a picture of my cousin, because apparently there's no pictures of me teaching in a classroom anywhere on Google, but my cousin's on there, so how about that? Now you guys can all take a moment to Google yourself online and see what happens. No, you've already done that. I know you have. There's even a guy wearing a tie there. That is definitely not Anoka High School. But anyway, my cousin teaches, I teach. You know, your parents have different occupations. We specialize in an occupation so we can get paid for it, and then we take that money and we go out and get the things that we need because we're trading it for other things. And if I have problems with my car, I will take my paycheck and I'll go over to Slim's and I will pay them to help me fix my car. And so this isn't Little House on the Prairie anymore. I don't have to build my own house. I don't have to make my own food. I don't have to sew my own clothes. So we have these different occupations so our standard of living can increase and we can trade with each other. You can even think about it in football terms here. Maybe you're loaded at running back if you play fantasy football. And again, sorry for the 95% of you that don't do it if you don't want to waste your time all day on Sundays yelling at the TV. But if you're like me, you spend a day on Sunday yelling at TV. But you have running backs. Maybe you're loaded at running backs. Another guy is loaded at wide receiver. Maybe you make a trade and you trade for a wide receiver and you trade him a running back. And now you're even better off and so is the other person. And so that's a win-win situation. The sixth principle is markets coordinate trade. And this is just looking at supply and demand, and that, it's really consumers and producers who decide what the prices are and what's going to be produced. It's not the government. And Adam Smith, the father of economics, he writes about the invisible hand. And so we often refer to the lack of a government involvement as the invisible hand, and that markets actually do a pretty good job of coordinating trade, whether it's going to Target or whether it's going to McDonald's or going to Menards. The prices are set because that's what people are willing to pay. The seventh principle is looking at people's choices and that they have consequences that lie in the future. So if you get pulled over, which maybe you have, maybe you haven't, if you get pulled over, you know that in another month or two, you're going to have to be paying a fine. And so the choices that we make right now have consequences that lie in the future. Here's another quote that I like. It says, "The bad economist sees only what immediately strikes the eye. The good economist also looks beyond. The bad economist sees only the direct consequences of a proposed course. The good economist looks also at the longer and indirect consequences." And we can kind of think about like public policies when someone makes a decision, they don't think about the long-term effects or the consequences. Sometimes they don't realize that there's trade-offs. It might sound like a really good idea at the time, but then you realize that there's a trade-off that you weren't thinking about, and that someone's not going to benefit from your choice. So you just got to kind of realize that when you're making those decisions, and so do policymakers.